Well, here it is. Episode 2, finally, of the Bombshell Billy Show. Right now, I'm sitting downstairs in the basement in the makeshift man cave. Just me, Macho, Paul Jean, Peter, and Ace hanging out down here. I'm going to give everybody a little tour of just the makeshift man cave-ish stuff that I have down here. The real man cave, anybody who knows the real man, well, hopefully that's coming in the spring. That's outside. That's the big man cave. This is makeshift mini man cave. MMC. Hashtag MMC. Right now, I got a little fun stuff set up down here. I put pictures up before, but I figured I would just give a little spin around the room and see what's going down around town. See what we got going on down here. All right, so let's get started. All right, so this here is a stand that I got at a garage sale for 15 bucks. It is fan-freaking-tastic. Got it a few weeks ago at a garage sale over on Lakeshore Road. But anyways, top shelf here. This is a collection I put together of 2CW alumni. Squared Circle Wrestling, mainstay, 10 years strong, closed up in 2015. But these are basically, it's a collection of figures of guys who have gone on to bigger and better things, and maybe not necessarily better, but have gone on to bigger things, and have had an action figure made of themselves. How about that? So let's go around. We've got, of course, Roddy Piper, Rich Swann, Daniel Bryan, Claudio Castagnoli, who is now Cesaro now, Sami Zayn, of course, the man, Kevin Owens. We've got Bubba Ray, Luke Harper, New Age Outlaws, Raven, Tommy Dreamer, Terry Funk, who I've put the NWA World Heavyweight title on. He didn't have that, of course, when he was in 2CW, but he is a former NWA champion. Colin Delaney, John Morrison, Matt Hardy, Samoa Joe, the hamburger guy, AJ Styles, the current WWE World Heavyweight champion. Yes, he was also in 2CW a couple different times. As a matter of fact, one of the times was with the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He was the reigning champion at the time. I have a picture of myself with that actual belt around over my shoulder. I don't like to look at that picture because I'm a lot larger in that. And of course in the background you see him, the whole effing show, RVD, Rob Van Dam. Down here on this next shelf, just a collection. I put a couple things. I got these just last night. These three here. Booker T, Sting, and Lex Luger. They're part of the new WWE Flashback series. I looked for them high and low, everywhere and anywhere. Finally, Walmart got them in. It's about time, Walmart. In the back, we've got another Sting, the Crow Sting with the WCW title. In the back, there's Cody Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Macho Man, Andre and Hogan back there. Reza Ramon with the Intercontinental title. And then, three faces of Owen. Owen Hart, the King of Hearts, Owen Hart, the Nugget Owen Hart, and of course in the middle, that's how he went, the Blue Blazer Owen Hart. These are three of my favorite figures right here, especially that blue blazer. I caught that blue blazer right there at the flea market down on Park Street a few months ago. $5. How about that? $5 holla. Let's scoop down here. See if I can adjust my light down here. Let me grab the light. Hold on. See if I can bring the light down without burning. I don't think I could burn myself. It's LED, so let's see. I'll probably find a way to do something. In the back there, we've got an old school Chris Jericho, older-ish school, and of course the newest one with the list. He's got the pen, the scarf. Stone Cold with the Dallas 316 logo, of course. Goddamn, Jim Cornette in there. We've got Roddy Piper. I just picked that Piper up on clearance for $6 the other day. The full, it's an elite with the kilt and the shirts. In the back, Triple H, Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels. Those guys are going to be tied in again sometime soon, coming up in the next few weeks. Up here, up near in front here, we've got DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. This is one of my favorites right here. Old school Harley race with the NWA World Heavyweight title on. And let's bring it over here right now. Here it is. Check this out. Here is the Arn, Tully, Barry Windham, and of course the Nature Boy Ric Flair with the NWA World title. And going with these flashback figures up here that I got They came with, there was 4 of them. These 3, and then another, and then a Ric Flair. Not this one down here, but a different one that I'll show you in a couple minutes. And it was a build a J.J. Dillon figure. There was a piece in each figure, in each package, that you could build a J.J. Dillon. And look at that, the manager of the 4 Horsemen, James J. Dillon. There he is. Awesome. Awesome concept. I love it. About time Walmart got those in. Down here is my Hasbro shelf. Here is Hasbro. The Hasbros. Shawn, Neidhart, Bret Hart, you can probably name them all there. Hogan, Andre, Savage, Piper, Mr. Perfect, The Natural Disasters, Akeem, The African Dream, not to be confused with Conrad, The Alabama Dream, Adam Bomb, Tatanka, Duggan, Ultimate Warrior, the Warlord back there, Coco Beware, Ricky Steamboat, Jimmy Snuka, a who's who of the 80s wrestling, WWE, WWF wrestlers, and that's that shelf right there. My garage sale shelf holding up a big collection of just a fraction of the figures that I have there. So let's go on to the next section, shall we? All right, here we go now. Check this out. I'm going to get down here and explain a couple things here. Last weekend, my best bro Bobby and I, if y'all know me, you all know Bobby, we went to Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, to check out the Keystone Comic Con. Jim Cornette was there. A couple others were there, including Tommy Dreamer. I printed up a picture that someone had. I think Strangler Steve may have made this, taken this picture when Tommy Dreamer was in 2CW, and he won the 2CW Heavyweight Championship. I printed it up to an 8x10, and he signed it to me. 2CW is pretty badass right there with the 2CW title. Flip it on over. I still got to give this to Bobby, but there's Bobby's copy right there. Tommy Dreamer to Bob. So that's pretty badass, being a 2CW alum and being a fan of that. I got this from Headlock Comics. Our buddy Mike, who used to come, Michael, he's the owner of Headlock Comics. Fantastic dude. He was there. Michael Kingston, check him out, Headlock Comics, on Facebook and on social media. I got this print here. He had this at StarCast a few weeks ago, and I wanted it so bad. I'm so glad he had it at Keystone Comic Con. I picked it up. $10 for this bad boy. That is awesome. It's a PWI Pro Wrestling Illustrated mock cover. Headlock Comics. It's Cody, who won the NWA title, down there on the bottom. It's Cody on the right and Dusty Rhodes on the left. That is pretty cool right there. Of course, there's a little heading of Pharaoh, Cody's dog, Pharaoh. Good dog or best dog? Let's read inside and find out. I'm just kidding. It's not a magazine. It's just it's an artwork print, but that is badass. I'm glad I got that in my little travels. Let's take a look at this shelf up here as well. This is my, let me grab the light. Hold on. Let me grab the light. I told you this was makeshift. It's going to be a makeshift as makeshift can be. This is my Conrad podcast. I'm going to call this my Conrad Thompson podcast shelf. My podcast row is what I'd like to call it. Thank you very much. There's Conrad Thompson, one of the best podcast hosts that there ever was. He's in the back with Bruce Pritchard. You know him as I Love Ye, Brother Love. There's my Brother Love figure. Something to Wrestle. That's when I met Bruce and Conrad. This was in Philadelphia last year. And this one over here was in Rochester, New York, just earlier this year. So there's Conrad and Bruce in the back there. Conrad and Bruce over there. We got a picture, signed picture, and then I got a pitch photo with both of them that time too. This here, wearing my podcast row shirt. Tony Schiavone, the legendary voice of WCW and the NWA. I caught him down at the Chiefs NBT Bank Stadium. He is the voice of the Gwinnett Braves. He was down there. They were in town in July, and I went down there and caught Tony. Of course, he's wearing his What Happened When t-shirt. That was pretty cool. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. Got a picture with him. So the only person I'm missing from the podcast row, as you can see on my shirt there, is Conrad, Tony, Bruce, and Eric Bischoff. December 15th, he's coming to Rochester, so I think I'm going to go check that out and complete my podcast row shelving right there. Come on up here. Here is, I like to call this the Cult of Cornette shelf. Let's take a look right now. This was pretty badass last weekend. I'm a Jim Cornette guy shirt he's wearing his other shirt that he sells, and a picture with Jim Cornette right there. Also a little card with his picture on it. A signed photo that my boy Bill Ali got for me last year. I probably should have got Bill Ali something when I went to this Comic-Con, I guess, huh? What a dink I am. There's another Jim Cornette figure, not to be confused with the one I showed you on the other shelf. The Cult of Cornette, the official burger towel in the back. The Legends of Wrestling Jim Cornette figure, signed to Billy You Rock Jim Cornette. And then, of course, a packaged version of this figure here that I've had for quite some time. I took that to Billy, your friend, Jim Cornette. Of course he's my friend. Why would he not want to? And then, of course, he handed out the Cult of Cornette official membership documentation. I'm officially a membership. The membership certificate of the Cult of Cornette. There's the Pledge of Allegiance. And then he signed it to me and wrote it out to me and signed it at the very bottom. So there's that. And, of course, my son, Nick, didn't think this display for Jim Cornette would be complete without a Dairy Queen cup. I'm not sure Jim would like that, but what's done is done. Up here, we've got another one of my favorites, 2CW alumni and kicking of major ass in the WWE, Kevin Owens, formerly Kevin Steen, multiple time 2CW champion, just all around fantastic wrestler, fantastic talker, one of the best in the business. And I got a little collection of his stuff here. The Kevin Owens Show scarf. I've got the, I think I've got him with every title. I don't have him with the Intercontinental title, but I got a whole bunch of Kevin Owens stuff. I took some of this stuff down to rearrange the Cornette shelf down there, but I got the hat. I got one I wear, and I got another one I got in the package there. Some trading cards, the U.S. title one, the Universal title, the, what's the other title? I have them with the NXT title too, back there, I think. And the only one I don't have is, I don't know if they made a figure with the Intercontinental title, but if they did, I don't have it. Soon I will be getting that one. There's the Kevin Owens DVD that they put out. The retro, there's a new retro series that they have out. These here, like Mattel puts it out, but it's like a retro, like Hasbro-like series. There's a Owens in that set that I need to find. I cannot find it anywhere, but I need to get it. If any of my wrestling friends knows where the next Owens in this series, not that figure, but the next series is, let me know. Or pick it up for me and I'll pay you. Lovins, do it. You the man. You travel all over. Here is one of my favorite shelves right here. If anybody knows me, they know I am a Ric Flair guy. So here's my shelf. I got Charlotte and Rick in the back. There's a packaged Hasbro Flair. I got a bunch of different belts that he's held. That was when I saw him in June back in Utica. Picked this up at the Comic-Con. I looked everywhere for it. Actually, a couple years ago, I had this, maybe a year and a half ago. I had this in my hand at Target, $10. Target exclusive, Nature Boy Ric Flair. I don't know why I didn't buy it, but I didn't. And then I can just say that I spent maybe a tad more than $10 on it at the Keystone Comic-Con when I finally got that into my collection. Ric Flair Woo coffee mug, a bunch of different figures they've put out with them. Here's that figure that came with that flashback series I told you about. They had the other Booker T and Lex Luger and Sting in. Here's the one right here that had the J.J. Dillon body part in it to make the J.J. Dillon. There's another Flair. Nick David is a guy on Facebook who makes these belts. They are awesome. Awesome belts. He makes retro belts. Any belt retro that you want. If you have action figures you want a belt on it, do it up. Get a hold of Nick David. N-I-C David. Here's Ric Flair's book. Some trading cards. There's a signed Galoob figure from Ric Flair back there. Here's another. I bought 2 copies of the flashback figure. One I could open and display here. Another one that's back up here. That's what the package looks like for it. I'm trying to shine the light so you can see it's got that Build a JJ figure. A couple of other ones back there. And then, let's see. Let me go down. I'm going to go to the bookshelf next. The bookshelf. All right, we are at the bookshelf here. A bunch of different books, bunch of different authors. There's a lot of, some of my favorites are in here. I've yet to read that Death of WCW book. I've heard it's good and I've heard it's crap. Eric Bischoff says it's crap, but you know, I think it might be because it may portray him in certain lights. That Gordon Soley book, the first one on the shelf there, I'm halfway through that. That is awesome. Gordon Solie, one of the greatest announcers in the history of wrestling. Pure Dynamite, that's the same book. It just came out in different printing, different covers. That's also a good book. Over here we've got the three of the Mankind books, Mick Foley books, and of course the Mick Foley figure, protecting them, making sure no one does anything that does any harm to them on the shelf. Of course, gotta have protection. Another copy of the Flair book. We've got Terry Funk, Bret Hart. That Bret Hart book is fantastic, by the way. Great. Not a huge Bret Hart fan, but it's a fantastic. All of Jericho's books are great. I suggest if you haven't read any or you want to read any wrestling books, definitely that's a suggestion I make. The Chris Jericho books are good. The Bret Hart book is great. Down here on the bottom, down on the floor here, doing some stretching. That Pain and Passion, that's about Stampede Wrestling. Also an amazing book. I don't know, Dave McCormick, if you read any books and you want to look on the history of Stampede Wrestling, that's a fantastic book to read right there. If you want to borrow it, feel free to ask. We can definitely do that, make that happen. The Positively Page book, the Diamond Dallas Page book, that's also awesome. What else we got down here? Over here, we've got, I've yet to read that Dick Bourne Four Horsemen book. I got to get to that one still. Eric Bischoff, Controversy Creates Cash. I will be getting that signed in December if I go to that. The History of Pro Wrestling in the WWF. These two books are awesome. Old, just basically just all the different cards, house shows, TV, pay-per-views, TV tapings. It's just a collection of all of those. I'm going to slide over here. On the floor, we've got some PWI almanacs. I've got way more than this, so that's just a few of them there. And then down in here, I've got some of the Dave Meltzer books on the bottom shelf down here. Wrestling Title Histories is awesome. The tributes books that Dave Meltzer put out. I've got a binder of wrestling autographs there. Tuesday Night at the Gardens. That's Louisville Wrestling. History of Louisville Wrestling. I picked that up at the Keystone Comic-Con from Jim Cornette. And, of course, the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette scrapbook. I've had that for years. Out of print. Very rare to have. In the middle here, I'm not going to pull them out, but I've got some wrestling comics and stuff. So I'm a nerd. I got a whole bunch of stuff with that. And one more shelf to show you on the little mini tour. All right, I said one more shelf, and that's the centerpiece of it right there. Replica of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. One of my favorite things in my wrestling collection right there. There it is. 10 pounds of gold, they call it. Held by Terry Funk, Harley Race, Ric Flair many times, Dusty Rhodes. Giant Baba held that title. Tommy Rich held that title. That is. I think Jack Briscoe may have held it, but they had a weird red strap version of it that he wore, which was, I think it was ugly. But this is my favorite wrestling belt. If you've ever seen the tattoo on my right arm, I have a tattoo of this belt right here on my right arm. That's how much I like it. So, you don't like that? Too bad. I'm a wrestling mark. What can I say? To Bombshell, Ric Flair. That's an autographed picture from the Nature Boy. Here's another one, a Ric Flair stance with one of those awesome Nick David belts right there. Over here, we've got a picture of me and the Nature Boy. I've met him 9 times, picture 7 of the 9 times, so that's one of them right there. That's another one. I look very different in that picture, but that's another picture of me and Ric Flair, one of the other times. And of course, I've got this styling and profiling figure right here with the 4 Horsemen sign up in the air. So, this is just a fraction of my wrestling collection. But this is the stuff that I love to display, love to show off to everyone. I have a confession. I don't know if you know this or not. You probably know it by now. I'm a wrestling nerd. I'm a wrestling mark. But I don't care. I love it. If you know me, you know I've been that way for years, and I'm not going to change now. Many more things I'm going to show. I've been digging stuff out. I've been listening to some new podcasts, one of them by Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. Check it out. You can pull up Major WF Podcast on Twitter. You can get to that. Go anywhere your podcasts are. It's awesome. If you like wrestling figures, if you collect wrestling figures, that's a podcast to listen to. Or fully posable podcast. I think that's another one. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm going to check that one out too. It's gotten me back into getting some of my figures out, displaying them, collecting them. I don't want to get too much into buying because I just don't want to spend the money. If you know me, I'm cheap too. So, but I've been doing some trades. I've been doing some rare stuff. A couple things I had duplicates of I've sold recently. So that's helping me with some extra money to be able to buy and recollect some of this stuff. So until next time, more from the wrestling collection. Bombshell Billy. Peace.